Because of the way the universe is created, we each of us live in two worlds at the same time. We have to live in the outer life of our own bodies and the inner life of our own souls.
Hello and welcome to Living the Inner Life. I'm your host, Chris Sheridan, and I want you to join with me on a journey into our inner lives, our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, everything that helps shape the way we respond to and interact with the outside world. And if we can use and utilize our tools of consciousness, we can live a better life, inner, outer, and in our total experience. Well, since this is the inner life, there's a lot in the inner life, and the biggest and best and really the foundation of it all is inner divinity. That is the infinite within, that inside of us all, in our inner lives, is this God nature, this Buddha nature that St. Paul said, it's the Christ in you that's the hope of glory. Even Jesus said, it is not I who doeth the works, it is the Father within me. So that's what I want to talk about. And not just on this episode, but I really believe this is such a strong point, and it's a difficult one to wrap your head around sometimes if you're not metaphysically inclined, but it's come up a lot throughout the centuries, throughout history, across cultures, religions, philosophies, this notion that we have a higher power, a higher self, something that knows more than we know that we know, something we're deeply and intimately connected with. And even though it's the same in substance, the approach to it is quite different than if you're looking out there, somewhere else, up above in the heavens, in the sky, for some God that's somehow distant and removed, powerful, but not really connected with our lives. The place to look is within, all right? And it is hard to find because we don't think to look there, all right? And there's a reason for that. Some of the greatest things, some of the greatest treasures and discoveries in life, whether it's in science or just in our own lives, whether it's raising children or developing a business, going to school and learning things, sometimes the deeper we go and sometimes the harder we have to look, the greater the reward. Just like the gold and other minerals are deep inside the earth, and sometimes it takes quite a bit of work to get them out, even to get a small amount of this precious substance. Okay? You have to wade through a lot of dirt and rock and muck and all these obstacles, and it's the same with our inner life. So there's a parable or a scripture, or I'm not sure, it's an old legend. I don't know the origin. It could be Hindu. It could be somewhere else. Doesn't really matter because it's relevant to what we're talking about. And that is, long ago, when man was created, the gods and goddesses were deciding, okay, we want to give man, being more special than the animals, a little touch of our godhood, our God nature, but we have to keep it from man's knowledge, from mankind finding this out until they're more developed to be able to use it. So they got together and thought about it. I guess this is a multiple God, a polytheistic kind of thing, or maybe God having conversations with himself. But it was considered to bury it deep within the earth. And then, well, no, man will figure out a way. They're clever. We'll dig down deep and he'll find it. Okay, what about at the bottom of the ocean? Well, again, man will find a way to get down in there, in the depths of the abyss, and find this inner divinity. Well, what about on the highest mountaintop? Again, same thing. Man will figure out a way to climb, claw, or fly, if that's even possible, up to the top of the mountain and find his inner divinity. We have to put it somewhere where he won't even look. And that is deep within the person, within humankind, ourselves. Okay, it's the last place we'll look. And even then, it can be elusive. It can be hard to find. Now, a little bit of advice. If you're a parent or grandparent, I know as a kid, You're being curious about Christmas or birthdays or other holidays where there might be presents. So you might look around to see if they're stashed somewhere in the closet or anywhere else. Well, it turns out the best hiding place in the world is underneath the child's bed because they would not think to look there. It wouldn't occur to them. So it's kind of the same thing. This inner divinity, this God nature, this Buddhahood that we have, we come with. It's already there. We don't have to go seek it or find it or plead for it or hope that somehow providence bestows this divinity on us. It is ours. We have to claim it. We have to recognize it and claim it and use it to its best and most favorable potential. Okay? Because if we don't, then we're just relying on our own hands and feet, our own senses, our own eyes, our own ears, our own understanding, our own knowledge. Even knowledge can be very limiting. Especially the more knowledge you have, it can paradoxically be more limiting in that you become bound by that. Well, I know this. Well, I know more. Well, I know even more, and this is great. But you're still stuck in this what you know, and what you know, knowledge, can really be found only in studying what's already been said before. There may be discoveries for new things. There may be hypotheticals like theories that might lend towards a future discovery or a future understanding. But it is only based on what eventually can be seen or sensed somehow or cognized by the brain. Okay? And if you're into metaphysics at all or spirituality, you know that there is another realm. There is something beyond this. Okay, and it takes maybe a leap of faith to really believe that. But according to most spiritual and philosophical traditions throughout time and across all cultures, this is certainly the case. It gets talked about quite a bit. So to find this inner divinity, we have to make sure that we're not too enamored and bound by this knowledge base. Okay, you can become an expert in something, and if you become more and more specialized, you know more and more about less and less until really you know everything about nothing. So it takes a broader sense and an opening up beyond whatever the senses can see or hear or touch, beyond what the mind can understand. The mind can only do so much. The heart, there's the heart mind. The heart can know quite a bit more, or at least different things than what the mind, the intellect, okay, this knowledge can understand. We have intuition, creativity. We have an inkling. We have clairvoyance or clairaudience, perhaps, or déjà vu, a sense of, I was already there. This already happened at some point, and I'm just now remembering it. There can be memories, perhaps, of past lives or other existences, or maybe interactions with other entities, or this collective consciousness that's everywhere and it's in everyone, like a broad spectrum of radio signals or television broadcasts going throughout the airwaves. It's a matter of plucking it out with an antenna and attenuating it in with the receiver to get the right frequency. So we can take in with our eyes and our ears. We can understand with our mind. We can learn more through our heart. But it is this soul that is probably closer to the inner divinity. Maybe that's where it is. It could be the pineal gland, our third eye. It could be deep within the gut, the stomach. Your guts have knowledge. You can feel it in your bones. We have knowledge and understanding and ways of perceiving the world throughout our body and even beyond it, maybe in our aura or something. But this is an inner divinity. This is something that in some ways is fully different from a human being, and at the same time, it's really part of who we are. Okay, we are special in a certain way. We're different than the animals and plants of the earth. We all live on this earth, so we're suited for the environment. We can breathe the atmosphere. The gravity keeps us on the ground at a certain G, 1G level. And there are freshwater deposits, rivers, lakes, streams, that we need this water. It rains, so we can nourish ourselves that way. There are other animals and plants and things to eat because we apparently need to do that too. So, and we're mammals. We have live birth and have mammary glands and feed the babies that way. But we have something more than that. And in another way, physiologically, we kind of have something less. We're a little bit at a disadvantage from the other animals. They rely on instinct, which we actually don't know what that is. We can just fluff it off and say, wow, how does the animal know how to dig a hole and hibernate for the winter and, forage for food over here? And how do they know when the weather's coming and they climb up to the hills? Oh, that's just instinct. Well, okay, what is that? It's some sort of programming. It's some sort of intuitive knowledge that animals have. They know when and where to migrate and do all kinds of things. There's no school or manual or teacher. Now, there are teachers in the animal kingdom. You can see this with wild cats or really any animal. If you watch animal shows, the young ones learn how to play. And by playing, they're eventually learning how to hunt. They follow along as they get older with the adult of the pride or group or flock or whatever it is. I've seen ducks. I see ducks all the time. And you can see the babies and they learn how to walk. They learn how to go underneath the water and find some food. And eventually they learn how to fly. It's a process. And so there is education. There is passing on this knowledge from the parent of the animal. But there's not like an academy or school. They just kind of know how to teach. And the juveniles learn how to learn. They sort of know how to do that, and they trust that their animal parents are teaching them the right thing, and the tribe and the pride can survive as time goes on, and eventually the young ones grow up and pass it on down. And this happens kind of automatically. All right, there's some sort of programming in the animal and plant kingdom that tells them what to do, when to do it, how to go about things. Humans are different. We don't know anything, really, when we come here. Now, we may know quite a bit. We may know a lot from past lives. But as far as being a creature on this planet, on this earth, when we're born, we can't fend for ourselves. The day a horse is born, they better stand up on their feet, okay? Or there's a really good chance they may not survive. Okay, and within a year, a lot of animals are able then to have children, new animals of their own. They're able to reproduce. Some quite a bit shorter, rodents and things. Some a little bit longer. But humans take a long time, 12, 15 years before you're really able to reproduce physiologically. Now, mentally and psychologically, it takes us quite a bit longer, and actually it may take many lifetimes if you believe that kind of a thing, because we don't seem to get it right, but we sure try. But what we have that the animals don't is this ability to adapt. We have the dexterity and the intelligence to write things down, to pass things along that way, to develop technology. I know animals use technology. Beavers can build dams and as long as animals are interacting with technology in the human world, they are adapting to things. I saw this one show where a bird was taking nuts and dropping them on the crosswalk at an intersection at a red light, and then would run out of the way, and then the cars would drive by and hopefully drive over this walnut or whatever it was. And then when the light changes, they know to come back and pluck the seed part, the actual nut part out of the shell. And so, animals can definitely adapt. That's part of the programming, though, that they have to be able to learn and adapt within their environment. But humans have to do all that stuff. We have to develop clothing. We're not really made to survive, except for maybe in a very temperate climate. But we have the intelligence to build, and now we have air conditioning and heating and all kinds of things like that. We can use agriculture to grow food, animal husbandry to raise livestock, and we can drive in cars and trains. We can go in the ocean and observe animals. We can go to the bottom of the sea, and we can go to the heights of the mountains using adaptive equipment that we developed with our intelligence, whether that comes from beyond or deep within. But we have something extra. You don't see a dolphin walking on land in a land suit, but a human can go in the water. Doesn't necessarily mean we're more intelligent. It's just a different intelligence. All right. So is that really an inner divinity, or is that just inner intelligence? Is it some other power of knowing that we've been bestowed with, like instinct in an animal? Maybe there are instinctual things that we as humans know how to do, and that is to develop tools and create music and art and do a whole lot of other things that the animals really don't. And we can learn from the animals and learn from the plants and the weather and the sky. But we are different, okay? And I'm a believer, and this has come after many years of maybe thinking about it, maybe not believing it, and coming around, reading different things, and a lot of my own experience is that we do have an inner divinity. We do have a higher power. We have what Socrates and the ancient Greeks would call a daemon, D-A-I-M-O-N, which became demon. Later on, it got kind of twisted into sort of a negative thing. But this daemon is like an entity, like a friend, like a wise friend who lives inside you or around you, and you're able to communicate. And that's where you get this knowledge. In fact, the term genius, we use that to bestow a term of appreciation or recognition on a person. Oh, that person is a genius. Their intellect, they have genius level IQ. This person is a genius. But back in the ancient days, they would say, oh, so-and-so has a genius. Okay, it's this thing inside you, this person. I think Socrates even named her Diotima, was his daemon, this inner wise counsel, okay, that's inside you, and it's part of you, and it's personalized. Everybody has one, maybe like a guardian angel. And this is the voice of reason. It's the knowing better when sometimes we don't want to do better. It's maybe where intuition and great creativity comes from, great strength when we need it in times of crisis or difficulty. So to have this inner divinity is to use it. And if we all have it, then we can recognize, namaste, the God in you and the God in me. Now, there is another story. I do believe it's of Indian origin. And there was a young disciple, a young monk, who was to be sent out on a journey by himself. And he was very concerned, and he talked to his master before setting out and said, well, what do I do if there's a snake along the roadside, a poisonous snake, or a wild dog that might attack me, or something like that? What do I do? How do I handle this? And the master said, see the God inside the snake. May the God in you see the God inside the snake, and you'll be fine. Okay, so he sets out on his way, and yes, he encounters a snake on the roadside. At first, very startled, very scared, and remembered the words, may the God in me see the God in this snake. God in snake, please see the God in me and let me pass freely. And the snake backed off, and he was able to continue on his way. Well, the same thing happened with a wild dog. Jumped up on the road, barking and snarling, and he goes, may the God in you, dog, see the God in me, and may the God in me see the God in you, and I may pass without incident. And the dog backed off, and he was able to go along, and he's feeling pretty confident about this now. Okay, it's working. And then he sees an elephant coming down the road, charging at him. Very fast, very strongly, big cloud of dust, and the elephant driver is waving his arms, saying, "Get out of the way, get out of the way." And he goes, "No, the God in me will see the God in the elephant, and the God in the elephant will see the God in me, and I won't be harmed." And he believes this, and he believes this, and the elephant gets closer, and finally the elephant comes right up on him, bangs him off onto the side of the road with his trunk, and keeps on going. And he's all bruised. The young guy is all bruised and beat up, and just, what happened? He didn't know what happened. Why didn't the God in the elephant see the God in him? And he's all hurt, and he goes back to the monastery, talks to his master, his wise counsel, and said, "But you told me, I saw the snake, and the God in the snake saw the God in me. The God in the dog saw the God in me, and I was able to go freely, but the God in the elephant did not see the God in me. What happened?" And the master goes, "You didn't see the God in the elephant driver telling you to get out of the way." So we do have an inner divinity, and perhaps that is also in the animals. We are all part of this life, this great culture of Earth, of all different kinds of creatures that are here for whatever reason, forever how long, we don't know. And I believe strongly it's to live and learn. And as we learn, we grow. And through this growth, we are then able to share. And maybe each time we come back, if it is a multiple lifetime kind of existence, something I'll talk about, I think there's a lot of evidence for that it may take many incarnations to get through this. And at some point, like the Bodhisattva, we may not have to come back for another lifespan here in this giant one-room schoolhouse of Earth. But to have this inner divinity, okay? The infinite within. It's the Father within me. It's the Christ in you that's the hope of glory. The inner Buddhahood that's there like a piece of gold deep in the earth. We just have to get through everything that separates us. And usually that's stuff within. If it's bad beliefs, if it's bad experiences, or if it's just disbelief, or being so caught up in the things of the world that we're not able to get to it. It's there. It's there. It's reaching out. It wants us to discover this. But we have to do it, and we have to do it ourselves. And to get to that, there's really no middle person, okay? At some point, you have to be the only one. You walk alone, and you find that deep within you to where you will never be alone. And you'll have, like Socrates had his diamond, you will have this connection, this relationship to this greater part of yourself. Okay, you're not looking out there for it. You're not looking over here. You're looking in here, inside, in your inner life for this inner divinity. And may the God in you see the God in me, and may the God in me see the God in you, and unfold, release, and share, and show by demonstration the power of this inner divinity and how it can work miracles and great wonders in your life and the lives of others. And we'll see you next time here on Living the Inner Life.